Hi, and welcome to Running on Carbs Podcast. I am your host, Coach Val, and I would like to welcome you to the new year in 2025 and a new episode, number 41 of the podcast. So, welcome and thank you for being here, and Happy New Year. All right, so 2024 is behind us, and I don't know about you, but 2024 was quite the roller coaster for me. So, um, a lot happened in 2024, and it was just a crazy whirlwind. And obviously, some of that stuff is still kind of spilling over into 2025 for me. But I'd have to say that a lot of those things that occurred during the year have cleared up for me. Hopefully, if you also had a whirlwind, crazy year, things have settled down for you, and that 2025 is going to come into a nice, calm year for you. That's what I am hoping for. Um, but I have a lot of things, that I'm looking back on. Whenever we have these kind of new year or end of year episodes, I always feel reminiscent. Like, okay, I want to go back and look at what I did in the last year, so I know what I'm going to be doing moving forward. And so when I look back at 2024, the biggest thing that really stands out to me in my life and my year was I was still recovering from that femoral neck stress fracture. I had gone for my what was supposed to be my final MRI in December of 2023. So I really thought that by 2024, January, I would be running again. I mean, that was like in my mind, in my heart. That's just, that's the timeline that they gave me in the beginning. So that was what I was looking at. It didn't work that way. And I didn't actually start running again until April of 2024. And even then, I wasn't really running. I just was cleared to run with a different MRI that I had to go take. And then I was able to start running really more regularly and really start my run walk interval training in May. It was like late April or May. So that really threw a wrench in my year as a run coach and a runner. But here I am. In November, I ran my first half marathon since having that stress fracture. So I'm feeling good now. It's like, okay, that was definitely a setback. And I have a whole episode about, a setback as a setup for a comeback. If you want to go back in the episodes and listen to that, it's the whole story. But I really feel like I was set up for a good comeback. And by the end of the year, by November, I felt like I had my comeback, and just feel like things are right in the world again, starting with that. There's nothing like running and meeting your goals to really make you feel accomplished, personally. And later in the episode, we're going to talk a little bit more like along those lines. But, what else happened in 2024 that comes to mind is, there was a big career shift, for me in the real estate industry. So, as you may or may not know, I'm also a broker for a large real estate firm. And in the real estate industry in the United States, at least, our industry has taken a huge shift, with how we work with buyers and work with sellers. And as the broker and the one that oversees compliance for the company, that puts a big impact on what I do. So, whew, having that come through, since like summertime till the end of the year, and then even now moving forward, it's changed a lot of things. So, big career shifts, big career market changes, industry changes having to deal with. So, both personal and professional, I've got it from both sides. And then around the same time in the summer, our dog got really sick, and we just haven't been able to help him. And so he's been on lots of medications, back and forth, tons of expenses going to specialists for him. And I'm not even going to calculate or add that up. I just pay the bill when it comes. Thank goodness I'm able to do that. But he's just been really sick. But then on the good side and on the positive note, he's getting a lot better. And so we finally found some medication that works for him. We've had, again, a few setbacks, but been able to get him back on track. And, our dogs and our animals are our family. And I am an empty nester mom. And so he's my replacement for my grown son. So don't tell my son that. But we love our animals. They're part of the family, and we'll do anything for them. And so thank goodness he is on the mend. And as a matter of fact, the dog, not my son. My son's great, but the dog is on the mend. And he's starting to be able to go out for walks again. And he's starting to just act like his old self, which is really stubborn, and a little hyper at times when we go on walks. So just back to his old self. Yay. But I'm so happy for that, and it has been a long road. So I'm feeling good about 2025 when it comes to his health. I think that we'll be back on track. On another side, positive note. So let's just move past all the negative. On another positive note, I started this podcast, and it has been a great experience. I feel like I have already come so far, and I have so many more things that I want to do with the podcast and to share with you in the years to come. But I'm, inching toward a year that I've been holding this podcast every single week. So that's been fantastic, and it's been growing, thanks to you who tune in and listen to the episodes and who share it with your friends. The podcast is starting to grow and be seen by more and more people. So thank you for that. And if you haven't shared it with a plant-based friend or a runner friend, please take this opportunity to do that and help us continue to grow in 2025. I also launched my run coaching and plant-based nutrition company in 2024, like officially got it off the ground and launched. So that was a very positive thing. And, putting more and more effort into that to help it grow, to work with more clients. And toward the end of the year, I decided to publish a book. And that has been quite the experience. I did not go the traditional route. I self-published it, and it has been a great journey. I am so excited and happy with how it turned out. I published a running journal. So it is a book that you can record all of your runs in. And not just your runs, but like your vital stats, what you want to track, things like your heart rate on the run, your cadence, your pace, your nutrition in detail. So what you ate before, during, and after, if you had gels, for example, or something. Some of the books that I had seen on the market and have used myself just didn't have the amount of space or the proper areas for me to fill in that much information. And then they were always such tiny little spaces to write a full run description. And I mean, come on, I'm a podcaster. I like to talk. I also like to write, and I want to keep copious notes about my runs. I also like to note what inspirations I had on the run, or stories, or something that happened during the run. I like to document those things to be able to go back to them later and revisit it, because running is not just an exercise for me, and I think it's not just exercise for a lot of people. And I like to keep record of that, like a diary. And so I created this running journal with all of those things in mind. And so there's a full page for each and every run where and a runner can document all of this information, plus more stuff that I'm not naming off right now, but it's a full page for every run, and there is space for 180 runs in every book. So it's a good amount of space for the runner to keep track of everything. So, and then there's some other pages in the book that help you document things like races, PRs, goals, things like that. So anyway, I was very excited to launch that book. and it is currently available on Amazon. As a matter of fact, if you are interested, I will leave a link to the book in the show notes so you can take a look at it. And if it works for you, buy one for yourself, buy one for your runner friend. But I'll leave the link in the notes for you. Um, and then that actually leads me to the last thing that I did to close out the year 2024. I wanted to end on a high note and go out with a bang. So, what I did was I wrote another book. And this time I actually wrote a book. So, working from the information that I share on this podcast, I wrote a book on meal prepping for plant based runners. And so it is an ebook, it is not a printed book, but it is an ebook. And the title is Meals That Move You 10 Essential Meal Prep Tips for Plant Based Runners. And in the book, I keep it kind of high level. It's not a cookbook, so don't expect to have recipes in there. It's really just like this podcast is. It's very foundational. It's very tip oriented, and I would say that it's really ideal for anybody who is new to plant-based eating, or that maybe just needs some meal prep tips. Maybe you're just not quite as an organized individual as you might like to be. So it might be some good tips in there if you haven't meal prepped before, or you just want to find some new tips. It's not a very expensive ebook, so pick it up and hopefully you'll enjoy it. As a matter of fact, I will leave two links in the show notes for the ebook. One will be an affiliate link that will take you to the actual book on Amazon for Kindle download. And so if you want to keep it on your Kindle and that's how you like to read books, I know that's how I typically read books, is I just download them on my Kindle. Then you can go there and download the book. If you have Kindle Unlimited, it's free, at least at the time of this recording. And if you don't, it's currently, again, at the time of this recording, $2.99. So not a huge investment. Um, but if you don't want to invest any money and you don't have a Kindle unlimited plan, then I will also put a link to the PDF version in the show notes, and you can get it for absolutely nothing. So totally free. Just go to the link. You'll see there's two links in the show notes that you can choose from, take you to Amazon to download there, or you can just go and download the PDF for free. Just kind of, depends on how you prefer to take in your information and books. So I wanted to give you some options. So anyway, if you do download it, please leave a review on Amazon if you feel so compelled. I would really appreciate that. And again, just like reviews on this podcast, when you leave one, it tells the algorithms, the world is all about algorithms these days, but it tells the algorithms that people are enjoying it, they like it, and it starts to get it out to more people who are looking for this type of information that are very specific. So obviously, the message that I share here on this podcast is very specific to an individual, plant-based running. And it's not just, runners all in general, although I'm sure I know for sure that I have a number of listeners who are runners but not plant-based. And then there's also some individuals who are plant-based but not runners. And then I also just have individuals that I've heard from who are none of the above, but they like the health information and the motivation for living that healthy lifestyle. So that's the beauty of podcasts, is that you get out of it what you need and you leave the rest. So that's what I'm here for, to give you whatever it is that you might need, and then you can leave the rest. All right, so let's move on to the rest of the episode, to the podcast. Let's talk about being a new runner. So in 2025, maybe you are one of those people I was just talking about who is not currently a runner, quote unquote, or maybe you aren't running. So you aren't a runner because you aren't running. But maybe you are interested in running or you want to get back to it. But however you define yourself as a runner, you define yourself as a beginner. And so, as a beginner, there's some things that you kind of need to keep in mind as you get started. And so, I want to keep this episode very, I wouldn't say like totally high level, but I don't want to confuse the topic. So, I'm going to be as specific as I possibly can. If you've been here long, I ramble a little bit, um, but I'm going to try to keep this as specific as possible so that you can not so that you don't get confused and I don't take you down a bunch of rabbit holes about, well, I don't know, off topic. I want to keep it real clear. So we'll see how I do. That's my aim and my goal for your episode today. So let's ask ourselves, what is a runner? So if you run, you are a runner. And that doesn't matter if you are running at the gym on the treadmill and you do it to, warm up, or you only run a mile, as I've heard from people before. Oh, I just run a mile on the treadmill. But how often do you do it? Oh, I do it like 5 days a week when I go to the gym. Well, I would imagine that you're probably pretty good at it. If you're doing that 5 days a week as your warm up, I'd say that that's a runner. The way I always defined myself as a runner, and I think this is very personal, so you don't have to use my definition, but the way I define myself as a runner is I feel like I became a runner when I decided that it was important to me and then it was something that I wanted to incorporate into my life on a regular basis and consistently and to improve upon. So it wasn't just something I just did, it was something I actually did with a purpose and I wanted to improve it incrementally. That's when I felt like I became a runner. It was a very purposeful decision. And so you can use that definition if that works for you. Um, but what you don't need to do is you don't need to be in shape first in order to start running. Fitness will come over time. So that's something that I hear a lot of times that holds people back is they think, oh, well, I'll start running when I get in shape. And you don't have to do that. Runners come in all sizes, shapes, body styles, body types, weight, height, gender, socioeconomic levels, backgrounds, different cultures. I mean, look at a marathon, go to a race, and look at the people that line up on that start line. And they aren't all skinny and tall and muscular. Maybe that's the pro, but you know what? There's a lot of people who like to play football, and they don't all look like pro football players either, do they? But it doesn't mean you can't play. So, same with running. Just because you don't look like a pro runner doesn't mean that you aren't a runner and that you can't be a runner. So, please keep that in mind that you can be a runner no matter what. You will just have a different starting place than someone else. But anyone can become a runner if you want to, and if that's something that you desire and that you're willing to put in some effort and work toward. So, what do you need to get started? Number one, you need to have a desire to run. You can't be one of those people that says, I only run if something's chasing me. Well, you're probably not going to stick with it. So, you have to have a desire to run. Number two, you have to have patience with the process. There is a process to learning to run and to not feel like you're dying every time, which, by the way, you should never feel like you're dying unless you are doing like the end of a 5K and you're racing it all out or something. Number three, have grace for yourself. There is a process to this, and it isn't always easy. And you will be challenging yourself, and sometimes you won't meet that challenge. So have grace for yourself. That's okay. And number four, perseverance when it feels hard. Same thing as with number three. You have to just persevere. It's hard. It's difficult. You might not have reached your goal that day. The next day you get up and do the workout on your plan. You just keep moving. You just keep doing it. And number five, you have to have the discipline to keep going. even if the results aren't immediate, because I can almost guarantee you that your results won't be immediate. Running, it doesn't work that way. You don't just run and magically have all this fitness, within a month, and then you're at the start of a marathon and running a 3-hour marathon. I don't know anybody who's ever done that. And if you are one of those people, you're an anomaly. So, and you're probably not listening to the beginner episode, I would guess. All right. So, what don't you need to get started? Number one, you don't need a watch. And I'm not gonna name all or number all of these because I think I'm gonna lose track of which number I'm on. But the first one is you don't need a running watch. You can run by RPE, which is rate of perceived exertion. So you can run by feel, quote unquote. You also don't need special running clothes. So any workout clothes will do, especially in the beginning. So if you are doing a run, walk, run program, you just wear regular workout clothes. You don't need, special aerodynamic shirts and stuff. So don't worry about that. Just wear workout clothes. You don't need to lose weight to be a runner. That will come with your increased fitness, and nutrition. So it's a combination of things as far as weight loss. And that's not something I get into on this podcast very often because you don't have to lose weight to be a great runner. But it probably will make you feel better, and you will likely start to lose weight as you progress if you are continuing with enough activity versus the food that you're taking in. Um, you also don't need to worry about new shoes. Unless, caveat, unless your shoes are like 10 years old, worn out, you wear them to do gardening work, and you're like, oh, these are running shoes. I'll run in these. No. Okay, then I give you permission to go buy some good new shoes. But if you have athletic shoes already, they're not ancient relics, they're in, relatively good condition, you have support in the shoe, the foam and the cushioning isn't all broken down, you have good arch support, all those things exist, then you're fine to get started in those shoes. And then, once you get started and you're going and you're starting to pick up the miles, you might want to invest in a new pair of running shoes then, or if you're having any pain. So if you do start to notice that you're, having aches and pains further up the kinetic chain, like in your knees or your hips or anything, you may want to look at a new pair of shoes then if your shoes weren't actually very new to begin with. Maybe you're just due for a new pair of shoes. And when you start putting in those high impact miles on your body, you start to feel it. So you will definitely notice it if your shoes are not supportive enough for running. So don't keep running in those shoes. Do get a new pair if that's the case. Also, if they don't fit comfortably, remember when you run, your feet will swell, especially as your time on feet gets longer or your distance gets longer. Your feet will start to swell as you're running. And so you want to make sure that your shoe can accommodate that. So if you start off on your run and your shoes are too tight, then like when you start, then you're probably going to have some issues with like blisters or like achy pains and things like that. If you're having those issues, go to a shoe store, get fitted, get a nice new pair of shoes. All right, that's enough on shoes. Let's talk about an example of a new runner plan. So I'm going to get granular here. So if you've got a notepad or something, you want to take some notes, please feel free. But I'm going to get granular here with a new runner plan. Okay. So again, disclaimer, everybody starts from somewhere different. So if you have come to, running with fitness already, you may not need to start with a very long run, walk, run plan. But if you are brand new to fitness and you've been on the couch for a long time and you are just starting your activity, then you're going to need to ramp up a little bit more. So when I have a brand new runner, I pretty much always start with some kind of run, walk, run plan. And I prefer to start with a time based plan rather than a distance based plan. And part of the reason for that is because everyone's pace is different. And so, what takes one person, 20 minutes to cover a certain distance, then it's going to take a different person 20 minutes to run a totally different distance. So, distance can be deceiving, and I think that until you have a good foundational, fitness level and good comfort with running, you can just stick with time-based plans. It really puts a better, boundary on your running, and it will help to keep you healthier. And then as you get better with that and you can run for longer without the walking, then you can start transitioning to a distance plan rather than time. So why start with the time-based plan beyond what I just shared is you need to consciously build load. So it's very conscious effort. We don't want to overload. When you are new to running, you're using different muscles. Even if you were exercising and doing other fitness activities before, maybe you were really big into weightlifting or some other sport. The thing is that when you are consistently running, it's a high impact exercise and it's repetitive, and you're repeating on a lot of muscles that you don't use in other activities. Even walking versus running, you're using different muscles. So you really want to make sure that you're consciously doing a very slow progressive overload in a conscious manner. So you want to ease into it. Calves, shins, ankles, knees, those are the big culprits. You could also throw in hips, can also be affected, but are impacted by running. Um, I'd say as a new runner, you're probably going to feel it more in your lower body than like knees down rather than knees up. So, but you could, but like shin splints, everyone's heard of shin splints. We all had them probably when we were in school because they used to make us run when we weren't prepared for it. They would send us kids out to run around a field and tell us to run a mile, and there was no preparation for such an activity. So, we all got shin splints. And that's we didn't think about that because we were kids, but yes, that's where it came from because we weren't prepared and our bodies weren't prepared for such activity. So you must take extra care and progress smartly to avoid overdoing it. And and then if you overdo it, then you're going to have to take time off from your running, which really ultimately defeats the purpose of starting a running plan. So take it easy, not too much. If you are brand new to running and brand new to fitness, then I would not recommend running on consecutive days. So you're probably going to run 2 to 3 days a week in the plan I'm going to outline. And then on the other days, you're going to incorporate strength training and strength exercises so that you can build the strength in your muscles and tendons and ligaments and joints and everything um, in between your running. If you are coming to running with some fitness, so you have good fitness, but you just haven't been running, then you might be okay to run one consecutive day a week. So you'd run 2 days consecutively in a week-long plan. But that again, if you find that you're starting to have any of those new runner aches and pains, I would recommend taking out that day, that consecutive day, and going back to no more than 3 days, and then filling in with something else like cross training or something like that. Always incorporate rest days and a day of cross training. And cross training can be a spin bike. It can be the elliptical if you like that, although elliptical is very similar to running, so that would be like the bottom of the list suggestion. But the bike, a swim is always great. The rower, I think, is a long forgotten, great exercise tool for cardiovascular fitness. And then, yoga doesn't count as cross training, but I think it's a very good supplement. So I would say if you enjoy yoga, then you can throw in yoga as well on one of those cross training days. So here's an example plan. So get your pens out. Now's the time. This is an example plan. It's a 1 week plan for a run, walk, run example for a transitioning runner who has some exercise experience. So that is the, parameters that we have around this plan. Day one, whatever day works for you. So this is day one, 20-minute workout. You're going to walk for 2 minutes and you'll run for 1 minute. And you alternate back and forth between 2-minute walk and 1-minute run. By the way, before you start any of the workouts for the week, always start with a warm up. So, a warm up would be some dynamic stretches. And we can talk more in detail about those another time. I don't want to go into that too much right now, but it's basically stretching with some movement. You just don't want to do those old fashioned stretches where you stretch and hold it for a long time. So, movement stretches, a little cardiovascular exercise like jumping jacks or something, and then a brisk walk. So, you're going to walk to warm up, and then you're going to go into your 20-minute workout. And then at the end of your workout, then you're going to cool down with another walk and then maybe some light stretches at the end if you feel like something's tight. So that's how we structure each day's program. So when I say 20-minute workout, it's not only 20 minutes. You have to remember you have to add on the warm up ahead of time and the cool down on the back end. So you might be exercising for more like 30 to 40 minutes, depending on how long you want to walk on either end of that actual workout. Okay. Okay. So day number 2, you're going to do a 30-minute workout. And during this workout, you're going to keep the same structure. You're going to walk for 2 minutes, you're going to run for 1 minute, and you're going to alternate back and forth until you reach 30 minutes. Easy peasy. All right, day 3, we're going to rest. Okay. And rest days, you can do some light stretching, some mobility is always recommended. But try not to use those same running, walking muscles because that's what you're trying to rest. So a rest day doesn't have to be entirely like, okay, I'm sitting on the couch and eating chips all day. Please don't do that. You want to keep some movement in your body every day, but you're just not going to be doing a full workout. So if you walk the dog every day, don't not walk your dog. Walk your dog. That is a different type of movement. That's not a workout. So go ahead and do your normal activity, but rest day from a structured workout. Think of when I say rest day, just think rest away from a structured workout. All right, so now we're on to day number 4. We're back to a 20-minute workout. And again, this time though, we're going to change it up a little bit and run for 2 minutes walk for 2 minutes and run for 2 minutes. So we're going to even up the time. So you're just going to go even Steven. So you're going to walk for 2, then you're going to run for 2, walk for 2, run for 2, back and forth until you reach 20 minutes. Day number 5, we're back to that rest day. So that was kind of a hard workout. You evened up the time the day before. So now you're going to rest the next day. Give that body a chance to recover. Day number 6, this is what we call your long run. So even in a beginner plan, we have a long run. And in this program, we're just simply doing a walk-run plan. So the long run in week number 1 for day 6 is 40 minutes. So 40-minute workout, and you will walk for 4 minutes, and then you're going to run for 2 minutes. Okay, a little bit different here because you have a little longer walk period, but your overall workout is longer too. So we want to sort of balance the two in this workout. All right, day number 7. We've reached the end of the week. So the last day of the week is your cross training day. And this is where you'll do that bike or swim or whatever it is you choose for cross training. And the idea for cross training isn't, again, it's not to kill yourself. So this is, you aren't going all out with this. Remember, this is a beginner plan. So for cross training, you'll cross train for 30 minutes. Pick whatever modality works for you and that you enjoy and that you will do, and cross train for 30 minutes, um, and and just enjoy that. But yeah, again, you're not killing yourself. It's really, the purpose of cross training is to keep up your cardiovascular fitness and to improve the cardiovascular fitness. So you want your blood pumping, you want your breath to pick up, in your respiration rate to pick up, but you aren't using those same running muscles. And we're doing it more for cardiovascular fitness, not for, but we want to keep the strain off of the body. So it's like a balance. So that's what your cross training is for. All right. So if you have no experience with exercise and you are starting from complete sedentary lifestyle, then here's a couple ways that you can adjust that 7-day plan. The first step is to take out one running day entirely, and you want to replace it with either a rest day or just light activity like stretching, mobility, easy walking, something like that. So it's good to get yourself in the habit of doing something on that day. Just don't run 2 consecutive days in a row. Okay? And then this 1 week plan. So if you liked that plan and you're like, hey, that sounds like a good plan. I don't remember anything you said, Coach Val. And I didn't have a pen because I'm driving or I'm doing the dishes or something, walking around the house and cleaning. Um, then this plan actually is already written. This was just a 1 week the first week that I pulled out of a plan that I have written and is available on Final Surge coaching program that I have. So this particular one, if you're interested in it, was taken out of the 6 weeks to a 5K race walk/run plan. So if that's an interesting plan to you, you can go to the Final Surge, Running on Carbs Final Surge plans page. Again, I'll put the link in the show notes. It's on every episode that I put out there. So you can always go there, whatever episode you're listening to, and click on the Final Surge link. And it'll take you to the plans that I have pre-built and pre-written that are available for download. And by the way, Final Surge is free for athletes. So you don't have to worry, like if you think, I don't have Final Surge, I don't even know what that is. Don't worry about that because you can download it on the computer and an app on your phone, and it's free for athletes to use. So if you want the plan, then you just download the app for free, and then the plan has a small cost. It's not very expensive. My plans aren't hundreds and hundreds of dollars or anything that are on Final Surge. So they're different. So I don't want to name off a price right now because they're all different. But the nice thing too is that once you own the plan, then you can, if you need to modify it because you're a new runner and the plan has 2 days in a row running, you can modify the plan yourself. But because you own it, you can go back and you can do this plan over and over again. So maybe you want to use it several times in a row to build your fitness. Maybe you go through it once and you're like, I need to do that again. And this time I'm going to add in that second consecutive run day. Or maybe you just need a little extra time because not everyone's going to increase their fitness at the same time. And, maybe you want to repeat week 1 a couple times because you're really just getting started. You can do all those things with Final Surge because you own the plan. So you can kind of restructure it, move it around as it fits your schedule and as it fits your fitness growth. So don't be afraid. of not having that program. It's fine. All right, so let's wrap it up. Um, Number one, keep it simple and straightforward. You know, that's really what we want to do when we're a new runner. And I hope I was able to keep it mostly, succinct during this episode for you. I really tried. So, but if you want to start running, then just start running. Uh, the rest is all going to follow. So don't get caught up in all the details. Don't get caught up in, the paces, or definitely don't get caught up in comparison trap. So if you are running at a gym and there's someone on the treadmill next to you that clearly has been running a long time, um, and they're just like booking it, and you're doing a run walk program, don't worry about them. They're not worried about you. Nope. That's the thing, is that everybody thinks everyone's looking at them. But the thing is that everybody's only thinking about themselves. And that's okay. I think that is how we are supposed to be. That is how we are meant to be. We have to take care of ourselves because we have survival instinct. So, okay, now I'm off on a rant. But don't worry about the person next to you on the treadmill. Okay. So just worry about yourself. Yeah, don't get into your own head, um, to the point of like not starting. So you just start, because you will be so happy with yourself. I mean, look at how I started out this episode talking about how horrendous my 2024 was. And here we are at the end of 2024 and now into 2025. And as I recounted, the positive things that also happened. So, all that is just life. It just comes. So it is better to do something imperfectly than not to do anything at all. And I would say, especially when it comes to exercise, uh, I'd rather you do it imperfectly. And when the workout calls for 30 minutes and you do 20, okay, you did 20. That's great. And I think that should be celebrated, not beat up on yourself for because you didn't do the full workout. No, do it to your best ability. And then tomorrow, do your best again, whatever that might be. So try the first week of the running plan that I outlined here, if that suits your fitness level, and see how you feel. And if it feels great, then do it again. It's pretty simple. Um, and then just keep repeating. Um, and if once you get to the point where you're like, okay, I'm repeating this, week one over and over again, I need to progress, then you can go out to the final surge page and download it, and then get the rest of the weeks that are there, because it's a 6-week program. So then go get the other 5 weeks once you're ready. But that's totally up to you. And by the way, if you are doing too much, your body's going to tell you that you're doing too much, like through the whole shin splint thing and all of that. So it is important that you start gradually. So if you're doing this run, walk, run plan and you start to have aches and pains, listen to your body and back off a bit. I have 5 coaching philosophies, and my second coaching philosophy is build gradually. And it's really key, because the idea is to help you keep running. So if you build gradually, you don't get to the point of injury, or, maybe just south of injury, where you're just too much in pain or achiness or soreness to do a proper workout. So we want to stay away from that, and the way we do that is by building gradually, and let your body catch up to the work that you're putting it through. All right, so all the links and everything that I talked about are all in the show notes. Don't forget to check out that beautiful yet functional printed running journal that I talked about at the beginning of the episode, and then also the newest ebook, if that's of interest to you. So both of them are on Amazon, remember, or you can get the free PDF download in the show notes if you prefer that for the ebook. And that's it. So please connect with me on Instagram or Facebook. I have a Facebook group as well. So you can connect with me wherever you prefer on social media. If you are not on YouTube watching this, I am also on YouTube, so the episodes are all recorded there. If you'd like to, or if you prefer to watch them on YouTube. But I would love to hear how your first week goes if you do the plan. So please, please reach out to me on any of the social media programs and let me know how your week went and what you did. Like, if did you change anything, or did you have to modify? How did it go for you? And or let me know if you have any questions. So if you do the plan and you're a little confused by something, or you're not real sure about how to implement, then reach out to me. I'm happy to answer your questions also. All right. So 2025, it is the year for the new runner. So I hope that you take all of this in and you're feeling inspired and excited to get started on your running journey. And if you do, keep it going. Take all these tips in and just absorb them. And have a fantastic 2025. Happy New Year again. And I look forward to connecting with you through this podcast and all of the other resources that I have all throughout the year. So I'm Coach Val. I am headed out. But in the meantime, have a great, happy New Year and run your best life on carbs. I'm Coach Val. I'll see you next time.